Hello, my name is Chloe and today I'm going to be doing my July wrap-up video. So I'm going to be sharing with you the books that I managed to read in the month of July. It wasn't exactly my biggest month in terms of books that I've read. I've definitely read a lot more books previously in a short amount of 4 weeks, but I read 4 books in the month of July. Actually, that's a lie. I read 5 books. One, however, was an Audible purchase. So I listened to the audiobook because I do a lot of travel for my job and it just means that I can also listen to books while I'm on the road, which is a lot of the time. I've also been reading a couple of more books kind of on and off. I have a couple of larger books that I kind of read on and off throughout probably 3 or 4 months. They generally span over, so I have been reading those books as well, but I'm going to share with you the books that I did finish in the month of July. So the first book that I read in July was The Heir by Kiera Cass. Now I do have a book talk on this book already to provide a review. It's a non-spoiler review, so if you wanted to check it out, feel free. So I will link that review in the doodad below if you're interested in checking it out. Now The Heir is the 4th book in the Selection series, books 1 to 3, which starts off as The Selection, The Elite, and The One, all also by Kiera Cass. They follow America Singer and Prince Maxon through the selection process for Prince Maxon's selection. If you haven't read those, definitely read those ones first. This one is about a different character. So it follows Edelyn and she goes through her own selection process, which is interesting to come from like a female's perspective, and we also see the perspective of the person who's actually undertaking the selection, whereas in the first 3 books we see it through America's perspective and she's one of the selected. So it's kind of good to see the other side of the story, to see the person going through the selection and having to pick out of 35 different people, which you can imagine would be pretty difficult. I mean, trying to get to know people in that kind of environment, it would feel really forced to me if I was ever in that kind of environment. Like, I would never be the type of person, if I lived in America, say, to like be a part of like The Bachelor or whatever, because I couldn't force feelings. I wouldn't be able to open up and have feelings in that kind of environment. It just doesn't make sense to me, but that's fine. It may work for some other people. For me, because I am so different in that sense, it was really interesting to read this. However, if you have watched my review, or if you're gonna go watch my review, then you will probably know, or will soon know, that I didn't enjoy this book as much as I did the other first 3, mainly because the character Edelyn, I think she requires a lot of character development and growth as a person, because she's very up herself, and there were just some very frustrating moments where I just didn't understand her thought process, and I just kind of wanted her to be like smacked a little bit to just get some sense into her, because she's not a very nice person for the majority of this book, and you do see her grow a little bit. By the end of the book, she does start to come out of her shell and start to let other people in and learn that, you know, just because she's going to ascend to the throne and be queen doesn't mean that she has to shut other people out or just focus on that there are other aspects in life that she can focus on, and that's going to make her happy. So there were some definitely good points and bad points about this book. I think I gave it a 3 out of 5 stars on Goodreads. And I'll pick up the 5th book because I am really interested in what's going to happen. It does end on a wee bit of a cliffhanger, so I'm interested to know what's going to happen next, and I also want to know who she picks, because you do get a little bit sucked into some of the male characters, who there are quite a few awesome male characters in this one as part of the selected, and also not part of the selected, so shh. So I would kind of hesitantly recommend it. I would first of all recommend the first 3 selection novels if you haven't read them, and then give this one a go and tell me what you thought about it. If you have read it already, let me know what you thought. If you gave it a lower rating, same rating, or high rating, I would love to hear your thoughts. Now the second book that I read in the month of July, I absolutely adored. It was so good. I gave it a 5 out of 5 stars on Goodreads. I loved it. It was amazing, and that is The Kiss of Deception by Mary E. Pearson, and I have so much adoration to express for this novel. The writing style is beautiful, it's really easy to read, and there are some plot twists in here that kind of blow your mind a little bit, and it was just so good. I finished the book and all I wanted to do is restart reading the book because I wanted to go back and see what I've missed and see if I can pick up anything more about the characters. It was just fabulous. That's pretty much all I'm going to say about that. I do already have a review up for this book. I will also link that review in the doodad down below if you wanted to check it out. There is a non-spoiler section and there's also a spoiler section, so I give you plenty of warning for when the spoilery section is going to start. So if you have read this book, go check it out and see if we had the same opinions and feelings about how this book kind of came about and what happened in it, because it's just so good. But for a very quick summary, this book is about a princess. Her name is Leah, and her parents, the king and queen, has set her up in an arranged marriage with another prince from another like city, town, whatever, so that they can kind of join forces. And she doesn't want to be a part of this arranged marriage. She doesn't believe in the kind of love where you don't even meet the person first. So what she does is she actually runs away, but she is kind of hunted by an assassin who doesn't want her to ever marry the prince that she had been arranged to marry, because that would cause all sorts of problems in and of themselves. And she's also stalked by the prince himself, who she ran away from. So she never met him, so she doesn't know who he is, he doesn't know who she is, but he's still coming after her. So it's very interesting. There's 3 different points of view that are written in this book. So you see the point of view from Princess Leia, you see the point of view from the prince, and you see the point of view of the assassin as well. So it's kind of a little bit of a goose chase. She's running away from them, they're trying to find her, and it's just very interesting, and like I said before, beautifully written. Just a very, very enjoyable read. So I would highly recommend this. The second book has actually just come out as well, and I will be picking that up in August, definitely. There is no way that I could hold off any longer. So 5 out of 5 stars, and this is the second book that I read in July. Now the third book that I read in July, I also really enjoyed. I think I gave it either 4 or 5, probably 4.5 out of 5 stars on Goodreads, and that is The Red Queen by Victoria Aveyard. Now, I did really enjoy this book. It took me a little bit longer to get into it than I would have liked. I think it was the writing style, I'm not sure, but there was something about it that I didn't like as much as some of the other books that I've read recently, but I did still really enjoy it. The story was very, very fascinating. So this book is about a world where you have your silvers and your reds. So that are people who have silver blood and they have kind of magical abilities. It's kind of like X-Men a little bit, where all the silver people, they all have some form of special ability. So they can be healers, they can control fire or water, and just all sorts. There's tons of different abilities that are in this world, but only the silvers have them. And then you have the reds, so it's people who are red-blooded, and they are kind of considered the undercaste, so they would be like very low on like the caste system, I suppose. They live in the poorer areas, they're kind of like slaves, they work for the silvers. None of them are very high on the totem pole, and also none of the reds have magical silver abilities. Only the silvers have these abilities. So this book, it follows a girl, Mare Barrow, and the reason this book is so incredibly interesting is because they make it very clear that silvers are the only people that have abilities and reds do not. Reds are the underdogs, and yet this girl, Mare Barrow, she is a red and she is the first red to ever have a silver ability. And it's very interesting the way that is dealt with in this book. There's a lot of like political themes going on here about how it is dealt with by the royal family. The betrayal in this book is kind of incredible. I think the line that is written over and over again is anyone can betray anyone, and it is incredibly true. By the end of this book, I was just like, holy crap, like everyone betrays everyone. The betrayal, it's written very well. I would recommend it because it was a very good read, and I know the second book, it's not even coming out until either the end of this year or next year. I can't remember, but I will definitely pick it up and read it because I'm super interested in where this is going to go. It seems like it's a very fun world to live in, and I just want to know what happens. So I would recommend this to anyone who's in for a bit of a fun read. I mean, if you like things like X-Men, then try it because it's pretty fun. And the other book that I read in the month of July is Wait For You by Jennifer L. Armentrout. Now, in the Wait For You series, she's actually writing under the pseudonym pen name J. Lynn, but it's still Jennifer L. Armentrout. And I picked up this book because I was in a bit of a mood for like a contemporary romance, new adult kind of novel, and I just love the way Jennifer L. Armentrout writes all of her books. She has this really easy, funny style to her writing that's just always so enjoyable to read, and her characters are always really well developed. You really connect with them and you really feel what they're feeling. It's just, they're always so well written. I've never picked up one of her books and not enjoyed it thoroughly. I would give this book 5 out of 5 stars. The depth to this book is so good. Of course, as I said, it is a contemporary romance kind of / new adult novel, so it's a boy meet girl kind of story where the girl has some secrets that's kind of stopping the relationship from moving forward. The secret is something that's very inhibiting to her, and it doesn't really allow her to trust anyone or to open up to the boy, and it's a very moving read. Sorry, the boy and girl, Cam and Avery, should have mentioned that, but it's a very, very good read. I really, really loved it, and I've just recently picked up the second book in the Wait For You series, which actually follows different characters, but they had been introduced already in this book, so they were kind of secondary, very minor characters in this book, and then you get to see their story next. So the Wait For You series, it follows a whole bunch of different characters, but what I love about that is that later on down in the rest of the series, you get to see all of your couples that have gotten together in the books that you've read. They make appearances because they're all friends, so you get to see their life develop even beyond the book that you've read. So I'm really looking forward to picking up the second book, which is called Be With You, and I know that I'll enjoy it just as much as I enjoyed this one because I just love Jennifer L. Armentrout. She's just magical. She has a magical brain. She writes magical stories. So that is the other book that I read in July. Now, the book that I read kind of via Audible was The Amber Spyglass by Philip Pullman, and that is the third book in the His Dark Materials trilogy. So the first 2 books are The Northern Lights and The Subtle Knife. I have also done a review on those books, and I will link that also in the doodad down below if you are interested in knowing what this trilogy is about. But it's very high fantasy, and it's just incredible. Again, the world building, it's fantastic. The characters you just fall absolutely deeply in love with, and the story, the plot lines, it's so good, and I always love those stories. That is a reread for me. That trilogy I read when I was a child, and I still enjoy it now that I'm an adult, so that really shows the kind of amazing story that was built by Philip Pullman when it kind of transcends age groups. I still love it, and I would probably still love it in another 10 to 20 years. So that shows me that it's just fantastic. So I would highly recommend that. I would always give that a 5 out of 5 stars, including the other 2 books in the trilogy. So let me know if you've read any of these books that I've read in the month of July, and let me know what you thought about them down below in the comments section. I would love to hear what you thought, and thanks very much for watching, guys, and if you enjoyed this video, please do like and subscribe. I would love to hear from you, and I will have another video up shortly to discuss what I plan to read in the month of August. Alright, thank you very much. Bye! Oh my god. No. Focus. It's hot in this room even though it's winter.